Brett James Stewart here from Blue Ridge Hiker. We're at the Visitor Center in DuPont at the High Falls Access Area, previously known as the DuPont Forest Access Area. Near the front gates. We are going to hike to High Falls, which is off of Triple Falls Trail. So we'll be doing a portion of Triple Falls Trail to High Falls and then down to the falls. Here's the Visitor Center right here. This is a very nicely done area here. The Visitor Center is worth seeing. There's a kiosk mid-parking lot here that has the trails in the area, and the trails themselves are down near the gate on the opposite side of the parking lot. DuPont's a very beautiful forest. I think DuPont's relatively new, as you can see by the rock work and fences and things. Everything still looks fresh and clean. The kiosk has the typical information that you would expect. The trail map itself is probably is the primary feature. There are some photos and information and other things in there as well. The trails accessible off of the parking lot here are Buck Forest Road, which basically the parking lot is, assuming that Buck Forest Road begins at the junction with Staten Road. There's a covered bench, perhaps a discarded hiking stick, I'm not sure. Buck Forest Road goes out past the gate this way. High Falls, the sign says High Falls. This is the access, actually the access trail to High Falls. The trail is white gravel, at least this first portion of it. Many of the trails in DuPont are graveled, either because they're actual trails like this that have gravel on them. This is kind of a fine chat, or they're graveled more standard fashion because they're roads. There's a regular kind of blue-gray gravel. It's mid-May. It's about 6:30 in the morning. See buckberry bushes. Buckberry bush is a very common understory shrub. It's actually a subtype of blueberry. They're good. I ate them in cereal or just plain. The more sunlight they have, the sweeter the berry is. I believe much the same way blackberries are. Some of them are tart, some of them are sweet. Got a little eye on them, what looks like an eye, a little circle on them, on the end of the berry, kind of dark purple, black almost. Beautifully done bridge. Access down to it. Small creek. A lot of galax here. These little These are galax. Galax actually blooms. There's some blooms. I think, no. It's something else, I think. They have a little wand bloom on them. They turn red in the autumn, the galax leaves. Sure why this area was roped off. It was roped off a year ago when I was out here. I don't know if they're just trying to keep people from cutting through there to make a shortcut or what. Large fallen trees. I always have liked these. Not that I like fallen trees inherently, but I always like the fact that they generally have rocks and things, and then this one has one small one up here. But sometimes they have huge rocks in the root system. And just from the other side, have a still growing ivy bush coming out of this guy. Ivy bush, this is ivy bush right here. Ivy bush is Calma latifolia. It's mountain laurel is what it actually is normally called. We call it ivy bush. There's a similar laurel that we saw back at the bridge. I'll point a laurel out when I see one. Laurel have longer leaves. Generally get a little bit larger, not a lot. The laurel is rhododendron maximum. And it's generally just referred to as rhododendron in other parts of the world. But of course, ivy bush being mountain laurel and laurel being laurel, there's some question as to what's what. There's a junction. Triple Falls Trail to the left. The gravel turns gray. We of course are going to continue on High Falls. The ivy bush blooms are white. They're pretty. There's another one out there, some more out here. Each individual ivy bush blooms every other year. I'm not sure why. There's some more blooms, they're pretty. They had a nice splash of color. DuPont doesn't have a lot of large trees. There are some here and there. DuPont's been logged in the past, so it's second or third growth. There's some more buckberry bushes. They're very common, at least around here. Here's a lighter green of the new growth here on the ivy bush. They don't get all that large. What we're seeing here is typical as far as size and forest composition. They're understory, of course, most of the time. They like acidic soil. There's a woodpecker. Again, we encounter, actually this is an intersection. Triple Falls Trail goes to the left and to the right. To the right here, that is the roadway. It ends right there at that roadway. That is Buck Forest Road there. There's some nice blooms on that ivy bush. Thought we might see that woodpecker, but let's see. I'm going to continue on High Falls Trail. Here's a laurel. You see the leaves are much longer, less paddle-like. Actually, they're not paddle-like at all, really. And they also bloom. They have a pink bloom generally. There are some that are red and some that are purple, but those are fairly uncommon. The most typical is pink. As you can see, High Falls Trail here, and I believe for the rest of the way, I know for the rest of the way, is a road. There's a junction with Covered Bridge Trail. Covered Bridge Trail connects High Falls to Buck Forest Road. Just at the Covered Bridge, the Covered Bridge itself is actually not on Covered Bridge Trail. It's just beyond it, over Little River, where Buck Forest, right at the junction with the two trails. Covered Bridge Trail actually has a view of High Falls that's just as good as the High Falls Trail. And I'll have some video of it after I get it from the regular viewing area. You can hear the falls from this point. You can actually hear them just a little bit right when I got on the trail. There's a fenced area. This is actually a gas line. The gas line runs through here. Typically a cut like this is going to have power lines, but this particular one visible from Covered Bridge Trail as well, and it is for gas line. Although I don't know why you would need such a large swath there. Here the trail turns right and goes downhill. Ahead here, there's a picnic shelter there that's barely visible through the trees. There's also one further down. The second one overlooks High Falls, and I'll get some film from there as well. And we're going to turn right because this is the actual trail. What's called a wing ditch to the right to funnel runoff. Some more white on the forest, but it's not ivy bush this time. This is a berry. I think this is raspberry, I think. It might be blackberry. Raspberry. Maybe. I am not confident, but I do know it's a berry. Nice little hemlocks. The growth there too at the lighter green. I love hemlocks. My niece Elia likes them as well. We went out for Mother's Day and she had a sprig of hemlock in the car. These steps lead up to back up toward the picnic area. The observation, when I said you could see the falls from, that's where these steps go. Stump looks very much like a seat. You can maybe see the picnic roof there through the trees. You might be able to see it from here. This is the primary observation area for High Falls. There you can see the picnic area, and that chimney there is a grill area. And here is beautiful High Falls. Like many of the waterfalls around here, this is actually a cascade because the water doesn't leave the rocks long enough for it to be technically classified as a waterfall. People typically just use, obviously, since it's called High Falls rather than High Cascade, people use the term interchangeably. The roof that's visible atop the falls or up above the falls is the covered bridge on Buck Forest Road. Very nice. There is a trail that leads down to the base of the falls. I shouldn't say to the base of the falls, but down to the edge of the little river here, just below the falls. That's accessible off of the High Falls Trail on River Bend Trail, which we'll see momentarily. High Falls is one of the more popular falls in DuPont, readily accessible and due to its size. People love white water for some reason. Trail goes down here, downhill from here to the, I'm going to turn off to the left. River Bend Trail is below here to the right. You can't see it at this point. decent sized rock. DuPont is known not only for its waterfalls, but also for its rock faces and freestanding boulders and things like that. DuPont's very rocky. There you can see river bend trail barely through the trees, through the laurel there. And I've made an error. When I looked at this, I thought this was a rock face. It isn't. It's just dirt. So that was my fault. What I said about the rocks was accurate, but this is not indeed a rock. Looked like it though. Ferns. I like ferns. These, I believe, are called cinnamon ferns. These soft-looking kind of fronds. I believe they're called cinnamon ferns because they turn kind of a brownish red, kind of a cinnamon color in the fall. I would say, and I don't have anything to back this up except from my own experience, but I would say cinnamon ferns are the most common type of fern in this area. There's actually a town called Galax, Virginia. I've never been there, but I need to go just because it's named Galax. Kind of a funny word, really. I've never thought about the word itself until I'm saying it. Galax, Galax, G-A-L-A-X is how it's spelled. I don't know why. Galax is turning red. Some red and green and different things in there, but that one's red now. I'm not sure why. Here's the junction with River Bend Trail. From this perspective to the right, High Falls Trail. I wouldn't say you turn left, but it curves left. River Bend Trail goes this way. It's a nice wide trail. It does parallel the river the entire length. It ends at High Falls. In fact, the rest of High Falls Trail actually parallels the little river here until its terminus at the trail's terminus at Triple Falls Trail. The river's nice and quiet here. Large laurel. My grandfather used to dig laurel roots. The roots are larger and they used to cut them out and sell them to fellas who would make pipes out of them. A little creek Little feeder creek flows right into the little river right here. You hear it. Can't really see it all that well. Yeah, maybe. That of a pipe on this end. You see the little river. Little fence they've made. I like these fences. I guess just to keep people out of that. Bikers, I guess especially, might be going fast. Not see it. You see a lot in the forest, these hemlocks is kind of whitish gray. You see a lot of these on the mountain slopes now. Won't last very long, of course, because they're dead hemlocks. And once they fall or branches fall off, that particular color will be gone. The hemlocks are being decimated by the woolly adelgid, which is a foreign pest that was brought in. The trees don't have any resistance to. They caught it awfully early. Scientists caught it awfully early, and also just private individuals. The trees can be treated, but of course out in the middle of the wood, it's hard to do. For a lot of people, like in their yards or other important specimens, they save them. So I don't think we're going to lose the hemlocks entirely, but I think we'll lose most of them in the forest, at least until either the trees naturally get, or they're able to engineer, if you will, resistance to the adelgid. I hate to see the hemlocks go. They're important anytime, everywhere, but particularly they're important along stream beds where they shield the stream from sun, and it keeps the waters cooler, which is important for the native brown trout. I believe they're also called speckled trout, are the same thing. I'm not a fisherman, so I don't know a ton about it, but the trout themselves have been pushed back. They're predominantly in the smaller streams because the introduced rainbow trout, which are pretty, but they compete with the native brown trout for food and so on, and the rainbow trout, I guess, are either better at it or more powerful or something, but they've essentially run the brown trouts just up to the kind of the barbarian areas of the streams, the fringe areas. But evidently the brown trout have to have cooler waters than many fish do, or prefer cooler waters. These hemlocks here alongside the trail, you see them here, they're upstream and down, and hemlocks are frequently found on riversides or creek sides. The little river here is very small. This would be in many areas considered a creek at this point, but this is the river. The hemlocks go alongside here. Hemlock is, of course, a type of pine. Prefers acidic soil, therefore. From here you can hear waterfalls, and the waterfalls that you're hearing actually triple falls. You can access from Triple Falls Trail although I believe you can see the first falls, or at least the top of it, from here, from this trail. And we have Triple Falls on the Triple Falls trail, or I'm sorry, in a separate Triple Falls video. There is a Triple Falls trail that Blue Ridge Hiker has done, and High Falls as well. If you want measurements and everything that you're going to see along the trail, BlueRidgeHiker.com be the place to check out. We measure the trails and take photographs and videos, GoPro footage, of course. This is the top of the upper of the Triple Falls. Can't really see, that's why I'm not turning out there. You can sort of see the white water maybe. Actually, I guess that's the upper and the middle. Maybe, I can't get my perspective from where I'm at. Maybe not, that may just be some falls up above it. This one may be upper. I can't tell because I can't see through the trees well enough. The vantage point again for Triple Falls is on the Triple Falls Trail. I'm fixing to come up to the junction, to T-junction with Triple Falls Trail. Nice picnic area. Also, there's a picnic area across the junction there. No, I'm sorry, I misplaced. It's a little bit further down. But they got a nice little area here. Listen to the falls while you eat. This is, again, the end of High Falls Trail, where it meets at this junction with Triple Falls. Triple Falls, from this perspective, goes both left and right. Next to the T-junction. Triple Falls to the left goes back to the High Falls access area where the visitor center is. So if you wanted to make the trail a loop, that would be a nice way to do that. To the right, it goes down back to the Hooker Falls access area. I say back, but it goes to the Hooker Falls access area. And if you wanted to leave a vehicle on one side, on either side, so it's a one-way hike, that's the best way to do that, although a loop becomes a one-way hike in a certain sense. But beautiful. Thank you for watching. God bless.